Is it gonna switch? Yes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Forge. We got another great episode for you. And if you don't know who's with us, well, you've been sleeping because we've been announcing it all week long. So, Billy, why don't you say hello to everyone in the chat and introduce our special guest?
Well, as Beetlejuice would say, it's showtime. What's up, everybody? Billy the Kid here. Hello to all of you in the chat. We got Big M, we got John Doe, Derek Autocorrect Primers in there, Primal Parodies, Big Easy. Guys, what's up? Thanks for joining us so early, but we've got the one, the only, him Grimlock, Gregg Berger, here with us tonight, live on The Forge. So, Greg, give everyone a big hello. Thank you for joining us. Let's go.
Me no bozo. I only go where I'm invited. I thank you very much for having me. Let's go, as your chat room is saying. Watching, listening, go.
That's it. And so what we just ask everyone in the chat, if you have questions for Greg, now nothing's off. The only thing that's off the table is politics. We won't talk politics or anything like that. But if you have any questions, Transformers, or anything of his repertoire, if you want to hear more about Odie and Garfield, please let us know. And we'll do our best to get your question. But I know Billy's just been chomping at the bits because we've got the 40th anniversary of the movie. Greg's got a ton of cool places where he's going to go. There should be a game called Where in the World is Gregg Berger? So
that'd be fun.
Dress him in red with the hat and a fedora, whatever it may be. And so that would be a cool kind of social media. Where in the world is Gregg Berger today? But yeah, we're excited because 40th anniversary on a movie that really shaped a lot of our childhoods and things like that. And we were just talking earlier about that Transformers the movie and saying, hey, can you imagine, the kids that got Prowl and they got Optimus Prime and they got these toys right for the movie and brought them with them and then just saw those characters. But you know what? There was one that survived, and he's here with us, so that's great. But Billy, I'll let you go.
Absolutely.
Me love Cubs war stories.
You live in one of them now, trust me. Anyway, 40 years of Transformers the movie, nearly a full lifetime of Transformers, right? Like that's been you. Transformers, Garfield, G.I. Joe. One of my favorite movies of all time, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Talked about that a little earlier. You've got a history like none other. So before we get into questions and things like that, how has it been? Like, what has it been like having such a storied career?
Well, the new cars say that they can see around the next corner, but the truth is they can't. Neither can I, neither can anybody. We just did what we did as we did it. That's my whole philosophy of allowing your life to unfold in front of you. But my goal has always been and will always be to exceed expectation when I'm in a studio trying to create. So pat on the back to everybody involved, but big pat on the back to Wally Burr, who directed both G.I. Joe and Transformers. And, the other side of the studio glass when you're recording has all the pieces of the puzzle. He would direct from the story Bible, from the storyboard. And honestly, some people would complain, but the truth is we would be there till he got what he needed and then we would move on. But look, to your question, at the longevity of what we all created together.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And you said, where in the world is Gregg Berger? I literally have convention invitations from all over the world. And the travel opportunities are unbelievable, but also just the love and loyalty on the other side of whatever signing table I'm sitting at. It blows my mind. And to your question, it's humbling and empowering at the same time. It's both. You're like, look at me, but also fandom joins the party one at a time. They either embrace what you're doing or they don't. And if you're a hotspot, as I've been, you just wake up grateful every morning, honest to goodness. And the Garfield franchise is nearly the same age as G.I. Joe and Transformers. So how old am I?
I gotcha.
Here's the sound of oh, go.
No, please.
Here's the sound of Odie being kicked off a table.
That
sounds almost
great.
like my basset hound. So that's awesome.
Jimmy found the inspiration.
That's it.
One of my good friends. I'm actually going to ask the first question from people from one of my good friends.
Oh, cool.
I spoke to you earlier about my friend that I was in a band with the record collection, all that fun stuff. He's dying to know, do you have any classic stories in regards to your time with Chris Latta? He was a huge Chris Latta fan, and wants to know, do you have any like stories that you can share?
Well, you have very good taste in actors and in talent. Chris and I were friends, but I won't say that Chris was friendly with most people. He sort of tested people. For those who don't know or don't know well enough, Chris Latta was a creative dynamo. And if he didn't have creative outlets for all of that energy, he would sort of get himself into various what are they called? Conundrums. But I passed the test. I mean, I'm not the biggest in the room or the smartest in the room or the strongest in the room, but I look people in the eye, I shake their hand and mean it. And somehow he let me in the club. So we were very good buds. If he needed a ride, I would take him. He was one of those people who, in a big room full of people, he was as big or bigger than the room, but he would shrink his personality down to the size of the space he was in. So we were pals, you know. He would quickly get down to being just a guy. But like Robin Williams, I'm not comparing them, but I'm comparing this aspect. He would inflate with the size of the audience.
Okay.
How's that?
That's awesome. That's great to know. And I totally understand the Robin Williams reference. I was watching an interview with him where he just started feeding off the crowd. Instead of finishing the interview, he saw what the people were reacting to and just cut and went right into it and fed off those people. And so I get the reference fully.
Well, for what it's worth, I worked on Mork and Mindy for 2 years with Robin. And when everybody was there, he would fly and do things that are undoable and make the impossible possible. If I was there first in the morning, and that happened often, he would just say, "Oh, good morning, sir." Ooh, and he would almost get small until there was someone else there, and then you could see this thing inflate. It's comedic genius is what it is.
Yeah.
It's artistic genius. And there's a lot of people, this sounds ridiculous and it sounds like it couldn't exist in the same person, but there are introverted extroverts and extroverted introverts when they're comfortable. And those people are always interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put that. I actually never would have like looked at it that way, but coming from an entertainment like background, I totally get it. Cause I always try to explain to people, like, there's a switch that goes off, right? Like you could be you and you're your humble self as you're sitting here talking, but all of a sudden it's time to do something for that crowd. And there's this switch that changes who you are. Like it's just night and day.
It's that love thang, THANG.
Exactly. I see a question in the chat that I like, and I think Jimmy sees it as well. Do you have any Grimlock or Skyfire, Jetfire action figures? Do you have any figures of yourself? Let's put it that way.
I have been gifted with many. I have sort of handpicked many. I was gifted with a masterpiece Grimlock that I still have.
Nice.
At a TF Nation, and at a Skyfire at another TF Nation, but in my travels, and also a lot of times if I work for a studio or a gaming company, they they are kind enough to gift me with whatever it is that I was working on. But I also have tiny Grimlock pins and Energon swords and things that I just have seen and acquired over the years. So yeah, I mean, no one thinks this stuff is cooler than me. I'm not
Yeah.
there. I'm not the guy who goes blah 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 my line. No, I'm in for the ride. And geez, I've traveled with Flint Dilley and Ron Friedman and a lot of the creator writers, and so I get kind of that overview in a much better way now, sort of peer to peer, than when we were on one side of the studio glass, all of the performers, and on the other side we couldn't hear their conversation. But Flint Dilley said that when it was the most heated, you probably thought you were all in trouble, but we were actually just ordering lunch. Noel,
That's funny.
That's awesome.
yeah, and
So-
a lot of the storyline was influenced by the toy line, where they would emphasize certain things and de-emphasize other things. But, and I've made this point to them, it was some sort of magical conglomeration of people who could only be as excellent as they were. So no matter what was coming at them as writers, what evolved was character driven, story driven. They just knew how to write. You can't stop knowing how to write, because you're also trying to do a little balancing act with merchandising, and so we're all the winners. We're all the beneficiaries. The audience, the actors, the producing staff, the production team, the artists, everybody. It just sort of was a golden age of doing stuff that stuck. And if you could create a viral video, everyone would do it. And
Yep.
this has
Yep.
been a viral phenomenon that happened because of all the elements, not a single element.
Well, yeah.
But I'll tip my hand to fandom every time as the missing part of the ensemble, but not missing at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about, there are toy lines that have come and gone, that, when you look at 80s, which was the golden age of toys, but you look at the ones that have kind of just still are here: G.I. Joe, Transformers, Masters of the Universe, all of these ones. But it's because, like you said, the fandom is the key to that.
Like I said, it blows my mind in the best possible way.
Nice. Now, before we get on to the next question, I do have a question about maybe all the gifts and souvenirs or things you've picked up. What's the most unique one you've got that you kind of go, man, that was really, really cool?
I'm the voice of the RoboSen Grimlock transforming robot.
Nice.
It's a robot with 32 seamless servo motors. I start yelling at you before you even get me out of the box, telling you that you're doing it wrong, or whatever it is I'm telling you. But I do have one of those, which I treasure, and it makes a really good brag at parties.
That's it.
I love
You
that.
could talk.
That's
You could
so
talk to
cool.
yourself too, as well. It's really great.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
I'm going to ask a quick question before I go to the chat. I'm so sorry, because I
That's
know where you're
okay.
going, and I do like the question that you're going to pull up. But you brought up Transformers and these other shows being what they are due to the interaction between the voice actors and the writers and the directors and everybody. We recently had Don Glut on our show.
Sure.
He was one of the Gen 1 writers. Did you have like a extensive history with Don? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this, but he was obviously part of the magic. What was it like working with Don? Let's word it like that.
He was early on, and full disclosure, I don't think we were ever in the booth at the same time. Dinobots hadn't made their appearance in the early episodes, which is why on that 40th anniversary release they had me narrate, because Grimlock hadn't entered the story yet.
Correct.
Nor had Long Haul, nor had Skyfire. and
We got it.
I don't think I could be correctable, but I don't think Don and I ever were in the booth at the same time. We attended some Hasbro events together. I certainly have met him and enjoyed his company.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Very cool. I only asked because Don is a like dinosaur aficionado, works in paleontology and things like that. And he was saying that he wrote Desertion of the Dinobots, SOS Dinobots. Like there were a couple episodes that he wrote, and I thought maybe he would have been jumping in there. But Autocorrect Primer is another guest that we have on, or he's a fan of a friend of ours. How did you look at Grimlock and give him the voice you gave him? Where did that come from?
First, back to Don Glut. There was every possibility in those days that the writer was in the room, but not necessarily on mic or talking to us on the other side. So,
Okay.
if I had his words, that's only beautiful. But it's kind of a longer story.
We've got all the
Wally,
time in the world.
I was doing a show called The Littles for Wally, and he kind of thought he understood where I fit in and what box to put me in. He saw me on stage in a show and said, he said, I'm blown away. He said, I have two enormous projects coming up, Transformers and G.I. Joe, and I'm now going to think of you for everything, which he did. But I don't know if you've had any guests on who explained his process of auditioning, which gives so much just trust to the actors. He had long 8-foot tables in the casting room, and they were filled with script sides. And he said there was a sign that said, "Pick 3 that you think show you best." So everybody was given a shot at an awful lot of things. I saw Grimlock, and the first thing I read in the breakdown was big muscle, small brain. Big muscle, small brain. Hinged jaw, hinged jaw. So little by little, and I'm a real advocate for acknowledging the collaboration between the writers, the artists, and the actor. So there's all these clues in a breakdown, and they mentioned that although he's a friggin' badass, he also has a childlike quality that speaks to his smaller brain. Although they gave me a brain later on, but I put it all together. I saw the hinge in the artwork. I saw the metal mechanical aspects in the drawing, like a schematic. And you just sift things around in your head and try to add a third dimension, because the truth of the matter is they're never casting a voice, they're casting a character. So the more you can invest into sort of stepping into those talons, into that jaw, into that everything, the more three-dimensional what you furnish to them in an audition, and the more you kind of take chances and surprise yourself at the same time you're hopefully surprising them. That's where it comes from. Me no like you. There's things that make him him, and at the same time, tell Grimlock about petrol rabbits. There's this wide variance in what he's capable of. A lot of times at conventions, they'll say, "Did you feel like he was too silly? Did you feel like he was too this, too that?" And the truth is, I just wait for a script. I get a script. I'm Cinderella going to the ball. So I just assume that my task is to get from point A to wherever the end of the episode is, usually back to point A. And that's how I approach my work. That's how I coach. That's how I read the whole thing. But you have to invest enough of yourself so that the material's reaching out to you while you're reaching out to the material. Anyway, that's where I went. I got a call late one evening from Wally Burr, who said, "Hasbro and Sunbow love you for Grimlock, but there's a concern." I said, "What's the concern?" He said, "Are you the world's best auditioner, or are you going to be able to maintain and sustain this tonsil buster?" And I said, "Put me in, coach. I'll hit it out of the park." I worked with a guy who coaches heavy metal singers, and I said, I got a voice thing coming up that's going to require. I don't want my career to last a week. I want it to last a lifetime. And so I learned techniques for relaxing the throat while you're sort of creating a compressed sound like that.
Wonderful. Love
Me
that.
smart.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I always thought of like Grimlock. I mean, he's not like was he too nice, too this, too that. I always thought of him like a big kid.
He is a big kid.
Yeah, he's a kid. Like kids get angry really quickly. They have childlike wonder. They can change on the dime, and that's what's really cool and very simple. The world's very simple to them.
They also think that they're best suited to be the leader, but if you stop and think about it, a more measured Optimus Prime as leader is better for everybody.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. Over the years, you've voiced many, many characters. We know Grimlock stands out, Odie stands out, Skyfire stands out. Is there any character you voiced?
Blink the Mouse, Harry the Alley Cat.
The Grumble. Like, I couldn't believe
Bravo, Blina, sit down.
Like, I love that, dude. That's so cool. But is there any character that just surprised you? Like, you didn't expect that character to go where it was going, and now it's this character that fans see you and still ask about that character. Like, can you do this voice, or what was it like doing this character? Is there any character that kind of stands out that really stood the test of time that you didn't expect it?
Everything you just named. I'm just there to do the work. When it has a life that lives on after the session, that melts my heart and makes me feel great about everything. But there's no cause and effect. For me, there's just being as present as I can be. And when I started, there was no convention phenomenon. There was no real sense of connection to an audience. But that's the honest answer. Every time it happens, it makes me insane. It makes me so happy and grateful. And I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of very talented, very deserving voice actors who haven't had quite the same run of good fortune. There is a good fortune aspect to it, and I know it. We're a really respectful community for each other. I have, and others have, been in auditions and said, you know what, I really don't think this is a great fit for me, but you know who might be right for it. And we do that. I do it. Maybe I'm the naive idiot. Maybe I'm the only one. No. I know Welker has done it. Everybody has done it.
Yeah, of course.
Because we're sort of, look, if 50 people read for something and it's the core group of working actors who know their stuff, there's probably 50 right reads. And then it comes down to whatever's the best application for a given show. So it hurts when you don't get stuff. It feels great when you get stuff, but when you get it, it's probably everything you did right. And when you don't get it, it's probably nothing that you did wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense as well.
Yeah, we got a couple cool things in the chat. They're not questions, but one person, Master Far, says, "I love you as Grimlock Gregg, and I also loved you as Cornfed from Duckman." So,
well, somebody had to take care of the duck.
And then Just G Squared said, him voicing Spirit and Odie are my two favorite non-Transformer roles he did on that. So really, really cool. Just seeing that. And I mean, just seeing like we were talking about earlier, a lot of the convention and the more specific conventions like Joe Fest and TF Con and things like that. But and you've been to a lot of conventions and meeting those fans and things like that. What would be one of your favorite convention moments that you've ever had?
There's a million powerful ones, but there was one that sort of got me recently. Um, Spirit says possibility and impossibility are states of mind. In my mind, there is only the possible, that which can be done. And through the whole course of the series, there's this epic battle with Storm Shadow, Keone Young, who I travel with a lot. We appear as Spirit and Storm Shadow. But they're respected adversaries. They respect each other. They're just on opposite sides, and it's all kind of interesting and spiritual and cool. So, to your question, somebody came to my table and said, "I just wanted to tell you I'm Navajo Nation," and I said, "I already know where you're going. Diversity in casting. I would never have had the opportunity to play Spirit, but I tried to invest him with nobility and be a peaceful warrior and on and on." He said, "You don't know why I'm here." And I said, "Okay." He said, "I grew up invisible." He said, "No one looked like me or sounded like me when I was growing up." He said, "And then G.I. Joe came on, and he said there was this tracker named Spirit, and suddenly I felt like I was part of everything." I said,
Awesome.
I said, "Just get over here and give me a hug. You just made my day, my week, my month." Yeah, that happened at a convention. So, and a lot of people, have had health problems in their youth, or just, been willing to be late for school when we were on in the morning and then run as fast as they could. But they're just genuine, sincere, authentic stories and thank yous, and I'm thanking them from the other side of the table. Some powerful moments happen. Promise.
Very
That's
cool.
beautiful. That's great. That's an awesome story, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that one. Master Farr, I'm going to jump on it, Jimmy boy. How did it feel to play Grimlock again in the Fall of Cybertron video game?
Wow, your audience knows what's up. For real, there's a change in story canon in Fall of Cybertron in particular. It's
Correct.
my proudest moment. And Matt Teager, the game developer, met with me privately. He said, "You have to be Grimlock in this." He said, "But are you comfortable with a deeper, darker, more cinematic, more grainy Grimlock?" I said, "I've been waiting for that opportunity since the first day I did it." He said, "Hasbro hasn't heard you in a while. I don't want to insult you. Are you willing to lay down some tracks?" I said, "Let me at them. Let's do this thing. Let's show them where I am today and where we are." And I'm so appreciative for your insistence that it be me. And I think together we created a really memorable game and performance.
Yeah, absolutely. That game was awesome. I don't we don't say
Awesome.
bad
Great.
words on this show. That game was awesome.
I'm,
So
I'm
many
missing
words.
an adjective.
Yes,
What kind of awesome?
really awesome.
That game was
Uh,
Yeah,
really awesome.
it starts with luck. No.
That,
so we've got Honey Boo Boo, who first and foremost screamed that it's Gregg Berger. But Honey Boo Boo wants to know, do you have a favorite catchphrase from a character?
oh my goodness. When we did the 86 feature, I feel like every line they gave me became a catchphrase, became a t-shirt, became a bumper sticker. It became part of pop culture. "Me kick butt.
I love
Grimlock
that. I was hoping you
don't
were going
like
to say.
you. Me need new strategy. Me no kisser." And of course, "Me Grimlock no bozo. Me king."
Of course.
Of
Gotta have
course.
that one. That's it.
Of course. Sorry, I just pulled up the wrong chat over there. That's
Hi,
so
honey boo
cool.
boo.
Now I wonder if that's the real Honey Boo Boo, right? Like imagine
That
that.
would be great, wouldn't
No,
it?
you'll probably never know.
No,
She's like
no.
longtime Transformers fan on that. Now,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the other catchphrases are all Eeyore. I'm one of the Eeyores for Disney. Peter Cullen does it. I do it. A guy named Bud Lucky was doing it. But I get to hang around in the 100-acre wood. And honey boo boo, I hope you have a nice day, because somebody oughta. It's
I
not.
I
love
love
that.
it. I love it.
It's
Our
not.
daughter.
I'm
My
not done
daughter's,
yet.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go
go.
for it.
It's not much of a tale, but I'm sort of attached to it. Thanks for noticing me.
Yes. Oh, we're not supposed to
Oh.
have like fanboy moments. Yeah.
I know.
Ah!
Well, the cool thing is like what I was going to say is my daughter's name is Winnie, and we named her after Winnie the Pooh. And
Wow.
so it was really cool meeting Jim Cummings.
Yep.
And it was funny because he did the voice for her, and she just bawled like in fear. I was like, this isn't Winnie the Pooh. He's yellow. You know, it's that kind of thing. But that Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, the whole 100-acre wood cast, it always has a special place in my heart because it reminds me of my
Absolutely.
daughter.
If you see any thistles, I like thistles. I just did 2 back-to-back conventions in Australia with Jim. So we were there for a total of 2 weeks. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. That's
Honey
awesome.
Boo Boo says thank you, Eeyore. I love Australia. My wife's family's from Australia, so that's good. That's good people out there. Have to give
Totally.
a shout out.
Very cool. I do have another question because I know like voice actors probably play some pretty good pranks on each other and things like that. So as long as it's PG-13, is there any really good, like, a memorable prank that you either played on one of the voice actors that you are great friends with? And I don't know, maybe it was in the sound booth, wherever it may have been. I'd love to hear it.
Prank is spelled Frank Welker. Frank, well, first he turned to me and he said, well, it was this or college. But he could, when he wanted to, go to in the studio while they were doing a rewrite or whatever, just to keep everybody having fun. He would create an imaginary payphone in the middle of the air. You'd hear the coins drop into it. You'd hear the dial tone. Then you'd hear his side of the conversation or a muffled other side of the conversation. So when we would all get tired and worn out and this and that. So it was more of an icebreaker than a prank in particular. But the prank that he was totally capable of playing and did was that he could he can do any sound that he can hear in it, invent in his head. He made it sound as though the engineer's board on the other side of the glass was arcing and all the people pushed back from their chairs. And then he says, it's just me, guys.
Oh, that's great.
That's pretty
I
memorable.
could see it. I got some sound guy friends. They would be like having a heart attack, when that's going on.
I don't know what he did, but it was good.
That's great. That's funny as hell. That's real funny, actually. John Doe 4880. How did you get the role of Skyfire, Jetfire, and what name came first, Skyfire or Jetfire? So he's giving you some trivia.
Yeah. Wally was fantastic at saying there's a new character being introduced. Does anyone want to read for it? And of course, everybody in the room would line up. But the auditions were individual and kind of one-on-one. Skyfire came first. Skyfire is the most conflicted of the Transformers. He was created Decepticon, lost in the ice, discovered Autobot, and doesn't really know who he's fighting for and who he's fighting against, but he does know Starscream was his friend. I love Skyfire came first. I got to work and they said, come in the booth. So I went in the others into the booth. They said, don't change anything. Everybody loves your performance. This is our guy, but your name is changing to Jetfire. I said, why? They said, we have legal online too. If you want to talk. I said, no, I'm good. We're all set here. So from that point on, he was Jetfire, and it was over a ownership of the name, even though it hadn't been used or some such thing. But it was a legal dispute.
As a kid, Skyfire was one of those characters that always stood out because, like, everybody's different. I was a science nerd. So here's like the biggest Autobot, at that time.
Yeah,
And all he wants to do is be a scientist. He doesn't want
that's
this
all he
war.
wants to do.
And it was just so cool. And the voice that fit him, like your voice that you pulled out for him, was so fitting of him. Like it just fit the demeanor, it fit the character. And that's going to go segue into Just G Squared, who states, what do you do to prepare for a role as far as taking care of your voice, drink a specific tea, throat drops? Like, what do you do to prepare for things like this? Because I can imagine Grimlock's got to be a little tolling on your voice.
Yeah, I mean, I tell coaching students, don't be the loudest talker in the lounge the night before. Don't be the last to leave. Realize it's your instrument and it goes where you go, and save that for when and if you ever finish. But you just want to, in general, be protective of the thing that's being so important to you. Yeah, all of that. Plus, we're in Los Angeles. You can vocalize on the way to a session. You can keep your voice warm. You can eat an apple to clear any mouth noise. So that's a really important thing to have. Room temperature water, not ice water. And this all sounds kind of temperamental, but these are the tools of the trade. Of course, echinacea. If I feel something coming on, I take zinc. I'm not a hypochondriac, but I want to be aware if I can stop something at its onset. Better. Plus, I tell myself I don't have time to get sick. Anyway, that combination, and then there's part of it that's kind of like Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. I've done my 10,000. It maintains that anyone is 10,000 hours of dedicated hard work away from mastery of anything. Yeah. I've done my 10,000 hours. If I was a rock band, I've loaded and unloaded the van and set up the drum kit or whatever. These are all dues that everybody pays. But so now I can kind of pick up the Stradivarius and play it, but I'm still protective of it. I think anybody who uses it as much as we all do should be protective of it too.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Coming from someone that I used it for years, my voice, and totally get it. My vocal coach had explained to me, he was a Broadway guy. You never needed to over project yourself because you always had that little microphone where they could control those levels. So if you had a comfortable spot, yes, exactly. Let the mic do the work. If you have a comfortable
in baseball, let the bat do the work.
Right.
In golf, Tiger Woods was never the strongest or biggest, but boy, the physics of how he let the club and the ball do the work.
Yeah,
beyond
there was
belief.
nothing like it.
Right.
So autocorrect primer in here once again. Good old Derek. How is
autocorrect primer? Let's pay a little bit of attention to that name. That's
good. he's a real character. He's a good guy. But how is it to voice video games, movies to cartoons? Is one easier over the other?
It's an interesting question because I started in an era where it was customary to do ensemble recording. It's a lot more work for the sound mixer and the sound engineer. Just ask them. But, I believe that whether it's the Arbuckle family or saving the galaxy, the energy is contagious when you can all work together. Video games almost customarily, although there's a few exceptions, are done isolated in the booth where you're just because interactive gaming has, by definition, a nearly infinite number of reactions, player driven to any situation. You have to record pages and pages and pages and pages of options to any situation. It wouldn't work ensemble. So the relationship, and whatever energy is contagious, is between you and the director. And the director's getting notes from the game developer, who's the guy in the corner who looks like he hasn't slept in 5 years, because he
Mhm.
hasn't. And it's just more like, and you're either, you find out quickly whether you're good at it or not good at it. It's technical performance. So it's kind of like doing jigsaw puzzles. You're adding a layer to the layers that, when they're put together, become the game. This all sounds more complicated than it is for the actor. I mean, you just come in, but you have pages and pages and pages of prompts, and often there's so much material that if you have a good relationship with the director and he knows your capability, you kind of just continue reading each line 3 ways, try and vary it, until they say, hold on, we've got a problem with that. But I've gone many pages without anything except seeing them sort of circling or checking or whatever, and knowing that it's covered. So it's kind of like channeling this cold read, and just because the director has communicated to you exactly what the parameters of the character are. It's technical performance, and for a lot of people, that's not organic, and they find that they're not terribly good at it. For those who are terribly good at it, it's a very strange, wonderful experience. And then when you hear the other layers, you hear the other things all added on. It's fantastic, but it's not organic in the way that other performance might feel organic. You have to be conscious of time. You have to be conscious of like 15 different things. Plus, in games, you have to most characters that I play have to die 15 different ways or 20 different ways. So you're going through, now you're falling off a cliff. Now you're falling off a cliff on fire. Now, as you're falling off the cliff, they're shooting you with arrows. Oh, they're fire arrows. And that, you know, so there's this, it's interactive. So of course it's going to have all of these uh, layers of prompts, because it's going to be ultimately player driven. Anyway, that's that. But as far as the difference between movies and TV is fantastic and getting paid to play, and you have 22 minutes usually to accomplish beginning, middle, and end of a story. If something's not story driven, I couldn't care less. If I don't care about the characters, I don't care about what happens to them. But when an animated television show becomes an animated feature, every aspect about it has to literally get bigger for the big screen. The stakes have to be higher. The intensity has to be bigger. Things have to happen that make it big screen entertainment rather than small screen entertainment. How's that?
That's good.
That's good.
That's real good. So before we go on, there's still questions, but like I feel, and maybe it's me, I'm sure Jimmy might, but I can feel or hear the difference in a show or any animated feature when the actors are working together in the room,
Yep.
and when they're doing the solo recordings. Like there's just a layer of energy and that organic, I don't know, force that just is just incredible. And you can feel it in episodes. I don't want to change it over to another show, but like, let's take, you brought up Frank Welker, like the real Ghostbusters, right? He plays Slimer, he plays Ray. Like you can feel just that wonkiness. Like it just shoots right through that. I don't believe you can feel when you watch a production where everybody's in an individual booth. Because how can you react to somebody as zany as that if you're
Right.
not there in the moment?
The wonkiness you're talking about is just sort of tickling each other while you're in the booth together.
Correct.
I mean, it's a little bit showing off, but it's a little bit just sort of bonding, in real time, in character. And the organic I don't know should be a punk band.
Oh, I love that.
It's just sort of the organic. I don't know.
That's
That's
it.
a great.
You said.
That is great. So we have I don't know if you've done a show yet with Razzle Kane. Razzle Kane does
Yeah,
a
yeah,
voice
of
actor
course, of
spotlight.
course.
Raz is incredible. He says I could listen to Greg read a cereal box. I want to know. He wants to know why are voice actors the
Monosodium.
happiest? Don't do that.
Corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup. I want to know why
Monosodium
voice
glutamate.
actors are the happiest actors. What are their secrets?
Jeez.
I kind of agree with that because every voice actor I've come across seems to know what they want, know what they're doing, and just kind of go with it. So yeah,
In a
why are you
nutshell,
guys?
I mean, I don't know if that's true for every single one, but of the people I know, I mean, the only limit on what you're considered for is limits that you put on yourself. So as a performer, you have access to bad guys who get to chew the scenery all day long. You can be Skyfire size. You can be Frank Little size. You can be Squeak the Mouse and say, I get to eat all this cheese off the top of lasagna when Garfield gets lasagna. You can be Harry the Alley Cat 2 doors down, who says food tastes better marinated in a garbage can. Uh, you know, you can be long haul and say, remove, remove, remove. I'm sick of all the dirt. Just let me merge to be destruct. What?
What? I get it. I'm just loving
I'm
this.
trying to remember. Devastator. Oh my God. Brain something. Yeah. Let's merge to be Devastator already. I'm just flipping it all around.
I love it. I love it. It's a gift that you're even doing this with us. Like, I love it. There is another person in here that asked 2 questions, one after the other. So I'm going to ask both questions just because they're Transformers related. And that is Tiresome Rhinox wants to know, how do you feel about that one episode where they made Grimlock smart? And then he wants to know, what's your favorite line as Longhaul?
Okay. I think everybody in this format knows that there's an arc called Grimlock's New Brain. They give Grimlock a brain, which he gives to Computron, and the Technobots arrive. I said earlier that every time I get handed a script, I'm Cinderella going to the ball, and there was suddenly that one, an arc written by Paul David. So I thought, well, now how are we going to do this? And then I thought, I'm going to elevate my consciousness, because suddenly there's a big brain where a little brain has been all this time. And suddenly I, Grimlock, am created. And suddenly I, Grimlock, realize that having this incredible brain and this ability to communicate sucks. I want my tail swiped back. Who do I give this brain to? And that's exactly how it's got played, and I think that's the way it reads still. Back to conventions, I have guys my age and their son or daughter and their son or daughter. So I'm seeing like 3 generations. That just lights me up like a Christmas tree. It's astonishing, because when younger generations get, first of all, it's a bonding experience, father to son, father to daughter, whatever it is. But once they get introduced, and I keep going back to the same thing, it's character driven, it's story driven. But younger audiences see one episode and they say, I want to go along for the whole ride. So that's astonishing to me. Long haul, my favorite line is remove, remove, remove. I'd enjoy this outfit to be no dump truck.
I love that. So he's just saying thank you because he's a huge Long Haul fan. He loves that you returned to him in Devastation. And I just think it's really great that we've got someone on here that's just a big fan of one of your characters that are not like Long Haul's not Grimlock, right? Like yes, Devastator's
Not
an
even.
integral part, but there's nowhere near as much time on screen between the two characters.
It's
I
true.
just think
And
it's
now Void Rivals, they're creating incredible storylines. Jetfire's back as a very prominent character.
Yep.
Nobody knows where it goes, but back to the audience, they're so allowing of changes in even changes in generations of Transformers, G1, G2, and on and on. But I know they're very vocal with emails and correspondence. But more often than not, it seems like they're willing to go where the creators are leading them and give it a chance and get a whole new incarnation sometimes, and get realignment. I heard it described as sort of between generations. It's all fascinating. It's amazing how real it is for so many people, including me.
Oh, hold on. Somebody's busting our chops, Greg. Raz. Raz just stated, I just realized that Jimmy and Billy are the names of the Double Dragon guys.
That's right.
Yes.
Damn straight, Raz.
That's us. That's the Halloween special.
I
right?
just let myself go since the game. So
Busted Flat in Baton Rouge.
That's it. Too many of those chickens laying on the ground for the health.
Come back as Jetfire in the Skybound animated series if they're actually going to make it. Now, I do know they are doing
Keep
an
those
animated
cards
series,
and emails coming in.
But
That's
yeah,
it.
is there someone we need to reach out to and say we need Greg in this series? Damn it!
I
think
don't
we're past 10
have
o'clock.
it, but I think it's a Google away to find out how you would contact them.
We're definitely going to have to do that. We've got a really great guest here that's saying hello. We've got Ben Yee. I'm sure Greg has met Ben Yee once or twice.
Many times. Everywhere I go, there he is.
Yeah, Ben is a wonderful human being.
Love
good
him.
friend of mine. Ben is saying hello. So everybody, hi, Ben. And then
Cheers.
Primal Parodies. I don't know if you know. Do you know Candace? She works with Gary Chalk.
Oh, Candace Santora, yeah.
Yeah. She just wants to say
see
hi.
everybody. I know everyone.
She said it was lovely to see you in LA, albeit briefly. So yeah, that's great. And then there's been a lot of people.
Same.
There's been a lot of people thanking you for answering their questions tonight and for doing these voices and all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of appreciation in the room for you, especially Jimmy and myself.
Right back at you, everybody.
Now,
thank you so much.
I know you've got to
for the Greggles.
I know you've got a busy schedule. So what's on the docket for you this year? Where are you going to be? What's going on? I know TFCon Orlando. Can't wait to see you there.
Correct. That was just announced. I have had a very exciting year already. Like I said, I finished last year in Australia. I will be leaving Tuesday for Copenhagen, and then ultimately Lund, Sweden, where the Nordic Transformers Con, RetCon, is happening on the 24th and 25th. I'm really excited about it. It's actually only about an hour from Copenhagen across the border into Sweden, and it's an 11th century town. I can hardly wait. And
that's cool.
Then that's on the 24th and 25th. And then I have a stopover and some theater tickets in London on the way back. I'm spending 3 days, but on the 28th of April, I'm going to be a special guest at the world's first Transformers store in Battersea Power Station. And they have an area for meet and greet and signings. And so I'll be appearing there from 5 to 8 on the 28th of April. So this timing is very good. I'm about to hit the international road.
I love that.
Yeah, and like you said, TFCon is announced now for Orlando in November. I'm doing some Joe shows. I don't have exact dates. I usually do San Diego Comic-Con every July. I'm pretty sure I'm doing that. I sit on the Cartoon Voices panel, or I a lot of times they don't want people there consecutive years, but I've been in many, many, many over the past many years. And that is like the ego bath of ego baths. It's a room that holds probably 3,000 people and it's overflow. They all tend to know more about us than we know about ourselves. And it's just a very, very positive room. But so many of the convention panel rooms are positive rooms. Most of the questions are really well meant from interested parties. I just love it. But I'm also doing projects in LA. If Transformers or Garfield call, I jump. But the other things are all under non-disclosure agreements, and so you can't talk about them, and you can't talk about them, and you can't talk about them, and
That's it.
then they get released, and they say, "Why aren't you talking about it?"
You're like, you told me not to.
I
You
just
told me
spent
not to
so
say.
much time not talking about it.
That's it.
But yeah, I mean, I really, bottom line, I love what I do. I do what I love, and I keep being allowed to do it. So how fortunate am I?
That's awesome.
I think we're the fortunate ones. No offense. Like, you've blessed us with so many characters and just memories. And thank you for that. Like, it's just,
I ain't no fortunate son.
thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Actually,
Well,
I am a fortunate son. No,
there we go.
I try to keep it positive and pay it forward, and it's a really wonderful community.
So I have a question. Is
Raz
this your
says,
first
"See you
time
soon."
going to a Nordic Transformers convention?
First, yeah, I've been in various cities in Europe, and I love TF Nation in the UK, but this is my first venture into Copenhagen or Sweden.
All right, because I was going to ask, like, are there going to be people cosplaying as like Viking Transformers? Like,
That
I
would
can
be
only
so
imagine
cool.
how
Boy,
cool these costumes are
I
going to
hope
be.
so.
Like,
That
my
would be
gears
so
started
freaking
going.
cool.
I
I
have
hope
to answer.
so.
I have to answer that question for autocorrect. No, this is a Muppet Show T-shirt, right?
Oh yeah, which they're
This is
redoing the
Dr.
Rock and
Teeth's
Roller
band.
Coaster.
Yeah,
Rock
man.
and Roller Coaster. They're getting center stage in that in Disney. So, on that. So very very cool.
Muppets
So
forever.
There we go.
that's it. But yeah,
But
I think
yeah,
say
we're
it,
out of
say
time.
it,
We're
buddy.
about out of time. So, Greg, thank you so much again.
How'd
I
that
mean,
happen?
yeah, we just have a lot of fun. That's what it is. So, the one last thing before we leave and everything like that. Yeah, I know there's probably people out there they're aspiring to be a voice actor and things, and they're doing voices, which it's really cool. But what advice would you give them, saying, hey, this is what you need. This is the best piece of advice I can give you if you want to be in this industry.
Well, first, I would say take the word aspiring out of the sentence and say, I'm a voice actor who wants to be gainfully employed.
Nice.
But, I'm a terminal optimist, and I believe that opportunities arrive for people. And it's really important that you've done your homework if an opportunity does arrive so that you're ready. The two strongest skills to pursue are acting class and improv class. Improv keeps you spontaneous in the moment with the ability to listen, and you don't go for a joke, but if there's a joke in the air, don't let it go by either. Acting class, for all the reasons I just said, it's voice acting, and if the character is not imbued by you in 3 dimensions, if you don't know who it is, it doesn't matter how it sounds. If you do know who it is, the voice will ring true. You'll never forget it because you've created a 3-dimensional character. Even if it's a dog with hopes and dreams and fears and secrets.
I love that. That's a really good way to put it. I do want to add to that question though. Just because we live in a digital world now, right? everything's online. There are people out there that are trying to just use, let's call it TikTok or YouTube as their venue to get their talents out. Is there anything they can do to go beyond that? I understand they have to do their homework. I get that. But maybe some people don't know where to go beyond social media or things like that.
I think that's up to the individual. And if you've got something that makes you absolutely unique, individual, and the one and only, then I say go for it. I grieve for a generation that is so digital. I said this way early on, that you can't look somebody in the eye and shake their hand and let them know you're confident about what you're doing and what a asset you are to their enterprise and how valuable you are. You can't do that digitally.
Yeah.
And I would also say, there's probably 500 people lined up at the front door. So try sneaking in the attic or crawling in the side window. That's cryptic. I mean, but it's the truth. Figure out something, and I don't know how, but maybe you do, that separates you from the crowd. Don't make your demo sound like the demo in front of it and behind it. Right away, figure out something that defines you as weird or interesting or reliable or conservative or not conservative. Whatever it is, let them hear something that doesn't blend in the first 15 seconds, because you have no guarantee that they're going to listen beyond that. If you want to be in the chorus, make sure you blend. If you want to step out front and be featured, make sure you don't blend.
Perfect. I love that. That's a great way to put that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anywhere that, the watchers, the viewers, the fans, whatever, where they can go to see what you're up to? I understand you said, hey, these are the shows I'm going to be at, but is there anywhere they can go to follow you and find out where else they can find you?
Website is greggberger.net. Facebook is /Gregg Berger, GreggBerger. And Instagram, because somebody took every Gregg Berger name, is at Greggo Bergero.
Greggo Bergero.
So stupid. But that's where I am.
Awesome.
All right. Well, listen,
well, we kind of the way we end this is I don't have an outro video. We kind of naked gun it. So we just kind of freeze and kind of give the old wave until it says end stream. So thank you again, Gregg. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Y'all been awesome. Tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We have a guest coming. I don't remember who it is. Is it Raz? Is Raz next week?
I think next week's autocorrect.
Autocorrect. Okay.
Got to check my planner.
We don't know. Hey, this is improvised jazz. We can make it all happen. But thank you so much, and audience, and we'll see y'all